Hello, and welcome back to Formula One 2002. And we are at the qualifying session of what is probably my most favourite track of the season. This is Belgium or Spa, and it has the infamous Eau Rouge and Radion corners. So we enter into our first qualifying session, and it looks like it's going to be a changeable weather conditions. So rather than let everybody else go out and then take an empty track, we want to get a banker lap in as quickly as we can. So we're going to head straight out onto the track, and as you can see, it is kind of busy, so we're just going to slow down a bit and let that Ferrari up ahead get a little way ahead of us. Unfortunately, we do have a Red Bull just a little way behind us, so we can't go too slowly. So as we exit the final chicane and we boot it down the start and finish straight into the first hairpin La Source, we're going to then throw it as hard as we can down the road, getting close to the right hand side and into Eau Rouge, and hold it for Radion, a uphill blind corner flat out, which is probably, when you get it right, quite an enjoyable experience. When you get it wrong, back in the days, it could have been fatal. So we made it through Eau Rouge and Radion, and we're through the next small section here, and this is one of the longer tracks on the calendar. It's going to take nearly 2 minutes to negotiate, about a minute 45, something like that. Let's see, so Sainz has just set a 1 minute 53, and he is probably, no, he's not the Ferrari ahead of us, so that must be Leclerc ahead of us, and I've lost concentration, and we have thrown that lap right away. There goes Verstappen. So we are going to have to now reset. Now, do I let Verstappen go, or do I pass him again? I think I'll let him go. So we're just going to cruise down this rear what is commonly called a straight, because it's not very. Looks like we've got a bit of a gap to the car behind, which looks like an Alpha Tauri. So Verstappen is far enough ahead now, so we're going to start throwing it around the corner. Looks like the Leclerc has set a 152, so the Ferraris are doing quite well here. It looks like they might be first and second on the grid so far. So we set our time, and yes, a 2:04 is not really going to cut it now, is it? So we are going to have to go again, which doesn't really bother me too much, as we get to take Eau Rouge and Radion once again, this time with a bit more space, and this time also a little bit better, as Lewis Hamilton also sets a fastest time of 1:52, I think that was 0.1, so we're dropping the times down. So after we've made it down the back straight through the S-bends, just slowing down slightly for this one, and then down, and I see that we have someone up ahead of us. I believe it might be a Williams. It's Latifi. Oh dear. He thankfully gets out of our way, as he is on the in-lap. Everyone ahead of us now will be, which means we have quite a lot of potential for people to be getting in our way and hindering us, which is why usually, if the weather isn't changeable, we like to let everyone else go out first. So round this corner, and now we can just floor the accelerator as much as possible, using all of the road and then some, and occasionally I will slam into that wall, especially when I start losing tyres. So around into the last bend and the final chicane, hard on the brakes, get it turned in nice and early, not too early on the accelerator, and then power out and across the line. We get a 150.7, which gives us a provisional pole. So let's get back to the pits and see what everyone else has been getting up to. I believe everyone by now should have set a lap. So we have Lewis Hamilton in second, but he is a full second, nearly a second and a half slower than us, although he managed to put his time in with one lap and not fall off the track. So we're going to just speed things up until the end of the session. We don't need to go out again. We are clearly the fastest of the session. So session 1 finishes and it is us, Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez on the provisional podium positions so far. The Ferraris seem to have dropped back a little bit. So into qualifying 2, and the weather has not yet changed, so we are going to go out again nice and early. We're not going to wait. It does look a lot darker now, and I can see spots of water on the screen and the lens, which is technically my visor. So we have one shot at this on soft dry weather tyres if we can keep it on the road, because from here on out it looks like we'll be using at least intermediates. There is confirmation. DRS has now been disabled, so officially it is a wet track, and we are about to start a flying lap of Spa on dry tyres. And there is also someone just up ahead of us, possibly Bottas. I believe it is definitely one of the Alfa Romeos. They are quite a way ahead, but not far enough really for me to be comfortable. So hopefully he doesn't get in our way. It looks like he might be on a flying lap himself, so we should hopefully catch him, but not to the point where it's going to start costing us time before the end of the lap. Hopefully, because he's a lot closer already. Maybe he is on an inlet. Maybe he will dive out of our way and we can continue on. It is Bottas, so there we go. Let's hope that if he is on an inlet, luckily Bottas is a very experienced Formula 1 driver. We will be watching his mirrors as George Russell sets at 157.8. And Bottas is definitely on a slow lap, or is he? Maybe he is on a fast lap, but he's just in an Alfa Romeo, and we've had to fight our way past him. Hopefully that hasn't cost us too much. It didn't really slow us down a lot, a few tenths maybe. And there's that wall I was telling you about. I took way too much curb on the inside there, tried not to get hooked onto it, and threw myself across the road and into the opposite wall. But again, it hasn't cost us a whole lot of time, so we are going to continue on. We haven't really got much of a choice, as any laps we do after this on the soft tyres will be useless. And we cross the line and get a 157.4,
right, let's have you in at the end
gives
of
us
this lap,
a provisional pole, and I don't think anyone else now will be able to set a faster lap. So we're going to get back into the garage and into the dry as quickly as possible. And once we get over to the timing screens, George Russell is currently holding second place behind us, just half a second down, and he also has a fastest sector. So let's speed through the rest of the session. No one's going to set a faster time today, and on to the third and final part of qualifying. So we have Esteban Ocon in the Alpine currently sitting in the third podium position. So, moving on now to the third and final part of qualifying, the top 10
With conditions as they are, I'd suggest you take a set of full
we now
wets.
have a very wet track indeed. Everybody will be on the full wet weather tyres, which suits me down to a T because everybody else will slow down by around roughly 10 seconds a lap. I will only slow down by about 8, or maybe even less than that. So, pole position, if I can keep it on the track, is now all but guaranteed. Although Eau Rouge and Radion will be somewhat scary. So we're just going to make our way up to the final chicane before we start our final flying lap of the day, hopefully. Let's try and keep it on the black stuff and out of the kitty litter, and especially through Eau Rouge and Radion. So hard on the brakes into La Source, turn nice and early, although I actually missed my apex there. I will be trying to avoid apexes slightly as it is a full wet track. We want to try to avoid some of these curves in these conditions. Set Radion there, we managed to ride right over the top of that one. So flooring it all the way down, we no longer have DRS down the back straight because of the wet track, and into the S-bends section of the race here, or the lap should I say. Nice and gentle, be very cautious through some of these corners, especially this one. Really don't want to get on the power too early, just about there, struggling to get the power down, and we've made it through this corner nice and safely, and we are about halfway through the lap now, maybe a little bit more. We're about a minute in. So Ocon currently has the fastest time at 1:35. I don't know how he's managed that, but that's got to be wrong somehow. So we're just going to continue on through the second S-bends section of the track. Hard on the brakes once again, try and avoid the inside curb, and hard out onto the outside curb for the last mad dash down the back so-called straight and into a corner here that I would normally take flat out. Take it a little bit easy through there. Ocon has now set a proper time of 2:09, which isn't that bad off of the main pace. So like I said, around 10 seconds, and we are now out and across the line for a 2:08.2. So guaranteed pole position there. Except somehow we've only managed.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Russell, Tempest and Lando Norris. With qualifying wrapped up now, we have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
So George Russell steals pole from us by almost 0.2 of a second. So join us in a little while when we will return to Spa-Francorchamps, and we will conduct our revenge, and we will try to win the Belgian Grand Prix. I have been Anubis, and I will see you all in the next video.